Laziness isn't something that disappears on its own. It's something you have to hunt down and destroy every single day. The biggest mistake people make is believing they need to feel motivated before they take action. That's the lie that keeps millions of people stuck in the same cycle, year after year. Winners don't rely on mood, inspiration, or the perfect moment. They rely on discipline. Discipline is the separator, the line in the sand that divides those who talk about success from those who actually experience it. When you stop waiting to feel ready, you take away laziness's greatest weapon, your emotions. Because laziness doesn't come from the body, it comes from the mind. It tells you you're tired when you're not. It tells you to rest when you haven't earned it. It tells you to delay what you know you need to do. And every time you listen, you strengthen it. But discipline works the opposite way. Every time you choose action over comfort, you weaken the voice of laziness and strengthen the voice of power. The truth is, your mood is temporary and your feelings are unreliable. One day you feel like running through walls, the next day you can't even get out of bed. You can't build a powerful life on something as unstable as emotion. Successful people understand this deeply. They know that discipline is a commitment, not a feeling. It's a promise you make to yourself every single day that no matter how you feel, you will show up. This is how champions are made, not by talent, not by luck, but by refusing to negotiate with their emotions. You can't keep letting your mood dictate your moves. You can't let a moment of weakness cost you a lifetime of strength. When you wake up and don't feel like training, that's the moment that matters. When you feel tired but you know you should work, that's the moment that shapes you. These moments, when you don't feel like it, are the ones that define your future. Laziness grows in comfort, but greatness grows in discomfort. The problem is that most people believe hard work is supposed to feel good. They think they're supposed to enjoy waking up early, pushing through pain, or staying consistent. But real discipline is doing what you said you'd do long after the excitement is gone. If you're waiting to feel inspired every day, you're already losing. Winners aren't motivated all the time. They're simply committed. They know that action creates momentum, and momentum creates motivation. You will never kill laziness by waiting for motivation to knock on your door. You kill laziness by showing up first, doing the work first, proving to yourself that you can act without needing to feel like it. That's how you take control of your life. Your mind needs to understand that you are in charge, not your emotions, not your excuses, not your comfort. And the only way to teach your mind that is through repeated action. When discipline becomes your default, laziness loses its power. You stop giving energy to hesitation. You stop entertaining excuses. You start becoming a person who acts because action is who you are, not because you feel good or because everything is perfect. Imagine how different your life would be if you stopped negotiating with yourself. Imagine how much stronger, healthier, and more successful you would be if you stopped giving laziness even a moment of your attention. Most people fail not because they're incapable, but because they spend years trapped in a loop of "I'll start tomorrow." Success doesn't come to people who are the most talented. It comes to people who show up even when they don't want to. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. Laziness isn't killed in dramatic moments. It's killed in the small decisions you make every day. The choice to wake up on time. The choice to train. The choice to work. The choice to push through when everything in you wants to stop. These choices build discipline like bricks, stacking one on top of another until you've built a foundation strong enough to carry your goals. There will always be days when the voice of laziness gets loud. It will try to convince you that you've done enough, that you deserve a break, that you can always do it later. But you have to recognize that voice for what it is. The enemy of your potential, your strength, your success. Every time you silence it, you grow. You learn that you are stronger than your excuses. And little by little, you transform into the kind of person who doesn't hesitate, doesn't stall, and doesn't back down. That transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens through discipline practiced consistently. Discipline is the ultimate freedom. It frees you from the chains of laziness, from the trap of inconsistency, from the cycle of regret. When you choose discipline, you choose strength over weakness. You choose progress over stagnation. You choose the future you want instead of the comfort that's holding you back. The day you stop waiting to feel ready is the day your life changes. It's the moment you take back control. Kill your laziness by refusing to negotiate with your emotions. Kill it by acting when you don't feel like it. Kill it by being the kind of person who moves with purpose, not excuses. Because the world doesn't reward the talented, it rewards the disciplined. And when discipline becomes a habit, laziness doesn't stand a chance. Comfort is one of the most dangerous traps a person can fall into. It feels good in the moment, it feels safe, it feels familiar, but it's quietly killing your potential. The war against comfort is not loud, dramatic, or obvious. It happens in the small daily choices you make when no one is watching. Comfort whispers, you've done enough, when you know you haven't. It tells you to relax instead of push, to wait instead of start, to settle instead of grow. And the more you listen, the more you shrink. Comfort doesn't attack you violently, it weakens you slowly. It dulls your ambition, one skipped workout at a time, one delayed task at a time, one lowered standard at a time. That's how powerful it is. It convinces you that you're okay right where you are, even though deep down you know you were meant for more. People don't stay stuck because they lack talent. They stay stuck because they get addicted to comfort. The couch becomes their safe place, routine becomes their hiding place, and excuses become their shield. But the life you want, the strength you want, the success you want, the confidence you want, won't come from staying comfortable. Growth only happens when you step into resistance, when you willingly choose discomfort, when you push yourself into situations that demand more from you. Comfort gives you nothing but regret. Discomfort gives you transformation. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're actually choosing the weaker version of yourself. And eventually that weaker version becomes your identity. You start believing you can't change. You start believing you're not capable of more. But it's not true. You absolutely can change, but only when you're willing to break free from the grip of comfort. Think about every person you admire, athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders, creators. None of them got where they are by choosing the easy path. They embraced discomfort like it was their responsibility. They understood that the human body and mind are built to grow through struggle, not ease. When you lift weights, it's the resistance that builds muscle. When you run, it's the fatigue that builds endurance. When you push yourself mentally, it's the stress that builds resilience. Comfort does the opposite. It robs you of strength. It fools you into believing that ease is the goal when ease is actually the enemy. The lifestyle of staying comfortable leads to soft habits, soft thinking, soft discipline, and those things produce soft results. If you're wondering why your life isn't changing, the first place to look is where you've gotten too comfortable. The war against comfort begins with awareness. It starts when you realize comfort isn't your friend, it's your limiter. You win this war by doing the things you avoid, by confronting the things that scare you, by pushing into the places that make you uncomfortable. It doesn't mean destroying yourself or overworking. It means choosing growth over ease. It means training when you want to rest. It means studying when you want to scroll. It means waking up early when the bed is calling your name. These moments of resistance are not punishments. They're opportunities. Every time you choose discomfort, you're upgrading your mindset. You're training your brain to handle pressure, to embrace challenge, to stay focused. And over time, discomfort becomes your new normal. That's when you become dangerous. That's when nothing can stop you because you've built the ability to do hard things consistently. The trap of comfort becomes especially dangerous because it disguises itself as self-care, rest, or taking it easy. But real self-care is honoring your goals, not abandoning them. Real rest is earned through effort, not excuses. Real growth requires challenge, not avoidance. The truth is, staying comfortable is the quickest way to lose your passion, your drive, and your sense of purpose. You start living the same day over and over. You stop dreaming the way you once did. Comfort suffocates ambition quietly, and the worst part is you won't even notice it happening until years have passed and you're still in the same place. Breaking free from comfort requires discipline and honesty. You have to be brutally honest about where you're settling, where you're avoiding challenge, where you're choosing ease over effort. And then you have to deliberately take action that disrupts that pattern. Start small if you need to. Take a cold shower, wake up earlier, train harder, choose the harder task first, confront a fear you've been avoiding. Every act of intentional discomfort strengthens your mind like a muscle. You begin to realize that the thing you feared wasn't the discomfort itself. It was the idea of discomfort. Once you step into it, you realize it wasn't as hard as you imagined. And that confidence builds layer by layer until you become someone who no longer fears pressure but thrives in it. The war against comfort is the battle that defines your entire life. Comfort keeps you average. Discomfort creates champions. Comfort keeps you stagnant. Discomfort builds progress. Comfort lies to you. Discomfort tells you the truth. If you want a stronger body, a sharper mind, deeper confidence, and real success, you have to choose the path that stretches you, challenges you, and forces you to evolve. Every great transformation begins when you decide to step out of the comfortable and into the unknown. That's where growth lives. That's where greatness lives. That's where the best version of you has been waiting all along. Consistency is the silent builder of greatness. It's not flashy, it's not exciting, and it rarely feels heroic, but it creates the kind of strength that lasts a lifetime. When people think about building the beast within, they imagine sudden bursts of energy, massive effort, or rare moments of intense motivation. But that's not how greatness is built. Your strongest, most powerful self isn't created in a single moment. It's built through repeated effort, through showing up day after day, even when nothing dramatic is happening. Consistency turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. It transforms discipline into identity. It takes the version of you that doubts, hesitates, procrastinates, and reshapes it into someone who moves with purpose, intensity, and power. The truth is, anyone can work hard for a day. Anyone can push themselves for a week. But very few people are willing to stay committed for months or years. That's why success is rare. Not because it's impossible, but because people quit too quickly. They want results fast. They want the transformation without the repetition. They want the glory without the grind. But growth doesn't respond to occasional effort. Growth responds to consistency. It responds to the person who refuses to stop, the person who trains even when they don't feel strong, the person who keeps building even when progress feels slow, the person who keeps showing up because they know it's not about the speed of the journey, it's about the direction. Consistency turns time into a weapon. When you show up consistently, time starts working for you, not against you. Every rep you do, every early morning, every session, every sacrifice, it all compounds, and compounding is one of the most powerful forces in life. One workout won't change your body, but 100 will. One disciplined day won't change your mindset, but 100% will. One moment of effort won't create confidence, but countless moments stacked together will. That's why consistency builds beasts, because it transforms your inner world. You stop being someone who hopes to be strong and start being someone who expects strength from yourself. You stop being someone who occasionally pushes themselves and become someone who lives at a higher level by default. The beast within isn't awakened by motivation, it's awakened by the daily choice to do the work. Consistency is also the antidote to self-doubt. Every time you show up, you prove to yourself that you're capable. You build trust with yourself. Most people fail not because they are weak, but because they don't trust themselves to follow through. They start, stop, restart, quit, restart again. That cycle destroys self-belief. But consistency breaks that cycle. When you keep showing up, even in small ways, you rebuild confidence from the inside out. You begin to believe, if I say I'll do it, I'll do it. That belief is powerful. It creates momentum. It makes discipline easier. And once you trust yourself, laziness loses its hold on you. You become someone who acts without hesitation because you know exactly who you are and what you stand for. The beast within you is built in routine. In the early mornings when no one sees you. In the late nights when you're tired but still working. In the moments you want to stop but take one more rep, one more step, one more action. Those moments shape your character far more than the big victories. You don't become unstoppable because you win once. You become unstoppable because you refuse to quit. Consistency creates identity, and identity drives everything. When you see yourself as a disciplined, powerful, relentless individual, you start acting like one. And when your actions match your identity, transformation becomes inevitable. But building consistency requires overcoming one major obstacle: boredom. The repetition, the routine, the grind, these aren't glamorous. They're not always exciting. But greatness isn't supposed to be exciting every day. It's supposed to be built slowly, purposefully, relentlessly. People give up because they get bored with the process. They confuse progress with excitement. But progress is rarely loud. It's quiet, silent, invisible at first, and then suddenly it shows up all at once. In your strength, your discipline, your confidence, your success. Consistency rewards those who stay committed long enough to see the results. The beast within you is created every time you choose long-term vision over short-term comfort. Every time you refuse to skip the work. Every time you stay disciplined when your mind is trying to take the easy way out. You're not fighting the workout. You're not fighting the task. You're fighting the weaker version of yourself and winning. That victory, repeated over and over, turns you into someone unstoppable. When you look at the strongest, most successful people in the world, they all share one trait: consistency. They didn't get there by accident. They built themselves. They created habits, routines, standards that they refused to break, and those standards elevated their entire lives. Consistency is the doorway to becoming your strongest self. It teaches you patience, resilience, discipline, and pride in your effort. It builds the beast, not by force, but by repetition. If you want to become unstoppable, don't chase motivation. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't rely on feeling ready. Just show up every day, no matter what. Because consistency is the bridge between where you are and the person you're destined to become. When you commit to the process, when you trust the grind, when you choose action daily, you don't just build the beast within, you become it. Excuses are the chains that keep people locked in the same place year after year, and they're often disguised so well that you don't even notice you're trapped. They sound reasonable. They sound justified. They sound like truth. But excuses are nothing more than comfortable lies. Lies that protect your laziness, your fear, your doubts. When you begin the journey of turning excuses into execution, you're not just changing your habits, you're changing your entire identity. Because the most dangerous excuses are the ones that feel valid. I'm tired. I had a long day. I'll start tomorrow. I don't feel ready. These phrases seem harmless, but each one steals a piece of your potential. Over time, they add up until you've lost months, years, or even decades waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. Execution is what separates dreamers from doers. It's not about having the best plan, the best resources, or the best timing. It's about doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't want to. Weak moments are inevitable. There will be days when your body feels heavy, your mind feels foggy, and your motivation feels empty. Those are the moments when excuses strike the hardest. But they are also the moments that matter the most. Anyone can move when everything feels easy. Anyone can work when they feel motivated. But it takes a different level of strength to act when you feel weak. That's what builds the type of resilience that lasts forever. Every time you choose execution over excuses, you teach your mind a powerful lesson: I don't back down. Turning excuses into execution starts with awareness. You have to catch yourself in the act. When you hear the voice in your head trying to talk you out of doing the work, recognize it for what it is: a barrier, not a truth. That voice isn't trying to protect you, it's trying to keep you comfortable. But comfort has never built a champion. You kill excuses by confronting them, questioning them, and refusing to surrender to them. Ask yourself, is this excuse helping me or hurting me? 99 times out of 100, it's holding you back. And when you expose the truth behind your excuses, they lose their power. But awareness alone isn't enough. You have to develop a system of action. Execution isn't about waiting for a moment of clarity. It's about creating structure. It's about setting standards and keeping them. It's about establishing routines that make success automatic. People who rely on motivation will always struggle. People who rely on discipline and structure will always win. When your standards are high, excuses can't survive. Set clear expectations for yourself: what time you wake up, how many days you train, what tasks you will complete daily. When these actions become non-negotiable, excuses lose their grip. You stop negotiating with your weaker self. You start executing because that's just who you are. Another key part of turning excuses into execution is learning to move even when the conditions aren't ideal. Most people wait for the perfect moment, but the perfect moment is a myth. Life is messy. Schedules get busy. You get tired. Unexpected problems show up. If you only work when everything is perfect, you'll rarely work at all. But when you commit to executing regardless of circumstances, you build a different kind of power, a power that doesn't bend under pressure. That's how you grow beyond your limitations. You understand that the mission matters more than your mood. Weak moments will come, but they are opportunities. When you feel like quitting and you keep going, that's a victory. When you push through exhaustion, your mind gets stronger. When you take action despite doubt, your confidence grows. These victories compound. They build momentum. They create a sense of pride that excuses can never give you. Excuses give you temporary comfort. Execution gives you lifelong confidence. You also have to be honest about why excuses show up in the first place. Most excuses are rooted in fear: fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of judgment. But execution exposes those fears. It forces you to face them head on. It proves that you are capable of more than your mind wants you to believe. Every time you act in the face of fear, you weaken its influence. You stop being controlled by what scares you and start being driven by what strengthens you. Over time, execution becomes natural. What used to feel difficult becomes routine. What used to require effort becomes part of your identity. You no longer battle excuses the way you once did, because you've built a version of yourself that doesn't tolerate them. You've become someone who moves without hesitation, someone who acts without delay, someone who follows through on their word. And that version of you is unstoppable. Excuses try to protect your weaknesses. Execution builds your strength. Excuses take from you, execution gives back. Excuses keep you average, execution makes you exceptional. When you choose execution every day, even in small ways, you become the type of person who doesn't just dream about success. You create it. You don't wait for opportunities, you build them. You don't rely on motivation, you rely on discipline. And once you reach that point, your life transforms. The weak moments don't disappear, but they no longer control you. You become the commander of your own mind, the architect of your habits, the driver of your destiny. Turning excuses into execution isn't a one-time decision, it's a daily battle. But every battle you win makes you stronger. Every time you silence the voice of excuses, you unlock another level of potential within yourself. And slowly, consistently, relentlessly, you evolve into someone powerful, someone focused, someone unstoppable. That is the transformation, waiting on the other side of every excuse you refuse to believe. Outworking your old self is one of the greatest battles you will ever fight, because it's not a fight against the world. It's a fight against who you used to be. Every day, you wake up with a choice, stay the same or evolve. Most people underestimate how powerful this decision is. They think success comes from competing with others, but the truth is, your only real competition is the version of you that keeps trying to pull you back to your old habits, old excuses, and old limits. That version is comfortable, familiar, predictable. It's the part of you that wants to take the easy way out, the part that wants to avoid discomfort. But if you want to create a future that looks different from your past, you must outwork the old you. You must be willing to give more than you gave yesterday, even if the progress is slow, even if no one is watching, even if it feels like you're the only one who understands your mission. Your old self thrives on patterns, patterns of procrastination, patterns of excuses, patterns of low standards. It tries to keep you locked into the same lifestyle because it's easier than growing. But comfort is the enemy of evolution. To outwork your old self, you need to break those patterns deliberately. That means showing up earlier, working harder, training with more intensity, holding yourself accountable. These changes don't have to be dramatic overnight. Even small actions, when repeated, begin to rewire your identity. When you put in that extra hour, go for that extra rep, or choose discipline over distraction, you're not just improving your physical abilities, you're proving to yourself that you are no longer controlled by who you were. You're building the evidence that you can become someone stronger, more disciplined, more focused. Your old self is always waiting for the moment you slip. It waits for the day you say, "I'll do it later," or the day you choose comfort instead of commitment. That's why the battle is daily. You can't outwork your old self once. You have to outwork it over and over until your new habits, your new standards, and your new mindset become your default. It's a transformation that happens through repetition, not intensity. And that's why so many people fail. They treat growth like an event, not a process. They expect to feel transformed after a few days or a few workouts. But real change takes time. It takes consistency. It takes patience. And most importantly, it takes the willingness to keep going long after the excitement disappears. Outworking your old self means embracing the grind. It means accepting that some days will feel heavy, some days will feel slow, some days will feel frustrating. But those are the exact days that matter most. Anyone can excel when they feel motivated. But the person who works when they're tired, when they're stressed, when they feel like they have nothing left, that's the person who becomes unstoppable. Because they learn to separate their actions from their feelings. They understand that success doesn't care about moods, the future doesn't care about excuses. The world rewards results, and results come from effort, not emotion. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that the old version of them is the enemy. But it's not. That version of you is simply the one that didn't know better, the one that survived but never thrived, the one that tried but didn't push far enough. You don't beat that version with shame or regret. You beat it with purpose. You beat it by deciding that your future matters more than your comfort. You beat it by choosing actions that the old you wasn't willing to take. When you outwork your old self, you honor the lessons you learned from the past while refusing to remain trapped in it. Another key to this transformation is learning to raise your standards. Your old self accepted mediocrity, shortcuts, and inconsistency. Your new self can't. Your new self demands excellence, not perfection, but effort. You raise your standards by demanding more from yourself today than you did yesterday. By setting lines you refuse to cross, by holding yourself accountable even when no one else is around. These standards create internal pressure, but it's a pressure that builds you, not breaks you. You become someone who expects more from yourself because you know you're capable of more. Outworking your old self also requires vision. You need a clear picture of who you want to become. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Without vision, you drift. With vision, you move with intention. That picture of your future self becomes your compass, guiding you through the difficult days and reminding you why the struggle is worth it. When you know where you're going, the work becomes meaningful, even when it's hard. Understand that the pain you feel today is shaping the power you'll have tomorrow. In the end, outworking your old self is about commitment. It's about deciding that staying the same is no longer an option. It's about choosing growth every single day, no matter how small the step may be, because each step builds momentum. Each day of effort strengthens your identity. And over time, the gap between who you were and who you are becoming gets wider and wider. Eventually, the old version of you can't keep up. It becomes a memory, not a reality. When you outwork your old self consistently, you become a person you once only imagined. You become someone with discipline, confidence, and strength that radiates from the inside out. You start living a life built on effort, not excuses. And that is how you win. Not once, but every day. Pain, progress, and purpose are deeply connected, even though most people only focus on one part, the pain. They see struggle as something to avoid, something that signals failure or weakness. But those who rise to greatness understand something different. Pain is a teacher. Progress is the reward, and purpose is the fuel. When you learn to embrace all three, you unlock a mindset that transforms your entire life. You stop running from discomfort and start using it. You stop fearing the hard moments and start leaning into them. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this building inside me? That shift in mindset is the difference between someone who gives up and someone who becomes unstoppable. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is information. It tells you where your limits are and challenges you to push beyond them. It reveals weaknesses you didn't know you had so you can strengthen them. It exposes the parts of you that need growth so you can evolve. Most people will never experience their full potential because they avoid pain. They avoid hard work, emotional discomfort, physical strain, difficult truths, and tough decisions. But every breakthrough you will ever experience sits on the other side of something uncomfortable. Every transformation requires struggle. Pain forces you to grow. It demands that you become more resilient, more disciplined, more focused. Without pain, progress doesn't happen. Progress isn't always loud. It doesn't always show itself right away. It builds slowly, silently, behind the scenes. And that's why so many people get discouraged. They expect immediate results. They think if they don't see changes quickly, their effort is worthless. But progress is often invisible before it's obvious. You get stronger one rep at a time. You get more disciplined one decision at a time. You build resilience one difficult moment at a time. This is the nature of progress. It's earned, not given. And you must be patient enough to let it unfold. The person you're becoming is shaped by your consistency, not your speed. You don't need to transform overnight. You just need to keep moving, keep pushing, keep showing up. Even small steps forward, repeated over time, create massive change. Purpose is what ties it all together. Pain alone can break you. Progress alone can exhaust you. But purpose, knowing why you're working, why you're fighting, why you're pushing, gives everything meaning. Purpose is the compass that keeps you moving when the path gets difficult. It's the fire that burns inside you when motivation fades. It's the reminder that your journey is bigger than the struggle. When you have purpose, pain becomes a tool rather than a burden. You start to see challenges as opportunities. You understand that every struggle is shaping a stronger version of you. Purpose makes sacrifice feel necessary, not unfair. It gives you the strength to keep going when most people would quit. The most powerful people in the world aren't the ones who avoid discomfort. They're the ones who confront it. They know that pain builds character. They know that progress requires patience. They know that purpose demands sacrifice. They learn to use everything that happens to them as fuel. Setbacks don't slow them down, they sharpen them. Failures don't define them, they teach them. Difficult days don't break them, they reveal their resilience. This is the mindset that turns ordinary people into extraordinary ones. It's not talent or luck, it's perspective. If you want to transform your life, you have to shift the way you view pain. Instead of seeing it as something negative, learn to see it as an invitation to grow, to adapt, to elevate. Pain is temporary, but the strength it creates lasts forever. The reason most people never reach their potential is because they quit at the first sign of discomfort. They mistake struggle for a sign they're on the wrong path, when in reality, struggle is proof they're moving forward. Growth hurts. Evolution hurts. Becoming a better version of yourself requires leaving parts of your old self behind, and that process is rarely comfortable, but it is always worth it. Progress also requires honesty. You have to be willing to admit where you are, where you've been, and where you need to improve. You can't grow if you're lying to yourself. You can't progress if you refuse to confront your weaknesses. True progress demands self-awareness and the courage to take ownership of your life. Once you accept that responsibility, you stop blaming circumstances and start creating outcomes. You stop waiting for opportunities and start building them. You stop hoping for change and start becoming the change. Purpose is what turns your journey into a mission. Without purpose, the grind feels meaningless. You'll work hard for a few days or a few weeks, but eventually you'll burn out. Purpose keeps you moving through the storms. It gives your effort direction. It reminds you that your life matters, that your actions matter, that your grind is not in vain. Your purpose might be to become healthier, stronger, more successful, more confident. It might be to inspire others, to build a legacy, to prove something to yourself. Whatever it is, hold on to it. Let it drive you. Let it guide you. Let it strengthen you. When pain, progress, and purpose come together, something powerful happens. You become unstoppable. You stop seeking comfort and start seeking growth. You stop doubting yourself and start believing in the person you're becoming. You stop living in the past and start building the future. This mindset doesn't just transform your workouts or your goals, it transforms your entire life. You become someone who can overcome anything because you understand that everything you face is shaping you. The journey won't be easy, but it will be worth it. Embrace the pain, trust the progress, and anchor yourself in purpose. When you do that, you're not just chasing success, you're becoming the kind of person who creates it.